This is the Supernova Building Guide, and today we're going to level up our trenches. Since a few months I've been working on my tiled trench system, and I really appreciate the feedback you gave me in the comment section, and I read all the messages. And some of you amazing, brilliant people suggested that I should make a ruined building. And I thought this was a really interesting idea, because the trench tiles are a very flat surface and adding some high points would really be a game changer in your games, something that you need to incorporate in your tactics. So let's go! Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because I have more cool stuff I want to show you. Thanks! For this build I want to make 2- and 3-story buildings, and I also want to do something with pillars because it looks cool and it is a very efficient and fast way to build. I'm also going to make a tile for this building so I can connect it to all my other trenches. My pillars are going to be 2 by 2 centimeter, and the pillars are going to be around 8 centimeters long. The walls in between are going to be 1 centimeter. So we have some interesting depth changes. So right now I'm going to make a lot of pillars and a lot of blocks for my building. I have a pile of my 1 centimeter pieces of foam, my 2 centimeter pieces of foam, and a pile of these pillars. So right now I'm going to use my hot glue gun on low setting to glue these in place. So this is the building so far, and I still want to do something with these pillars. And to help me do that, I'm going to use this foam pillar jig. Let me demonstrate. I already made a lot of these pillars, and I'm going to cut them in half, and then I'm going to glue them on the building. With a different hot wire jig I made these new pillars, and they are a bit different than the ones I used for this building to get a slightly different vibe, and I only cut away the pillar shape on one side of the building. And I'm also going to use these 3 centimeter blocks for the windows instead of these 4 centimeter blocks to get a slightly different vibe. My 3 buildings are done, and now we can move over to the fun part, destroying it. And I'm going to do that with this handheld foam tool, and I'm going to start with this wire to remove the biggest parts of the foam, and then I move over to the smaller parts for the details. This tile is going to be the trench, and later I'm going to remove these parts. Right now I am going to place the building on the tile, and I'm going to trace the hole inside the building. For my wooden planks I'm going to use this 2mm sheet of foam and my brass brush. And I'm going to cut it in 5mm planks. I took my buildings outside and gave everything a black base coat with some foam safe spray paint. And when you use a rattle can, I suggest you heat them up first by putting them into hot water. Because when the rattle can is a bit warm, the spray from your rattle can will be a little bit thinner and it will give you a nice and even coat. The procedure of this build is a little bit different than my other projects, because normally I finish the building part before I go to the painting part, but because we have tunnels and different kind of layers, that's not going to work. So it is building, painting, then building some more and then paint some more. And I'm going to start by painting the areas I cannot reach later, and that's the floor underneath the building, and I'm going to start with these cobblestones. And to paint them I'm going to dry brush them with a dark grey, and I'm going to use this old makeup brush. The painting so far is done, and now we can start to assemble the building. I already made this mud paste with some black paint, sand, mud podge and a bit of tile grout. And right now I'm going to cover all the exposed foam parts. First my idea was to add a bit of mud paste in all the corners inside the building, but then I was thinking, how does this thick mud get up here? Because when you add mud in a closed, a little bit protected environment, it will not look the same like the mud from the battlefield. So this idea is not going to work, and I need a thinner mud paste or more a textured paint. And I'm going to make that with some black paint and some sand, so it looks like it's in the same environment but doesn't have the thick consistency as the mud from below. The mud paste and the textured paint is dry, so now we can finally start painting this project. And I'm going to start with some dry brushing with a dark grey, and then work my way up from there to lighter shades of grey. And when the buildings are dry, I'm going to paint the mud with my airbrush. The last thing I'm going to add is this barbed wire from Gale Force 9, and first I'm going to curl it around this marker. I changed to the tube from my airbrush needles to get a slightly smaller curl, and now I'm going to cut this up and glue this in place on the project, and when that's done I'm going to add a wash to blend it all in. These high buildings really give you a lot of interesting options in your game, but it doesn't give you a lot of protection. Where you want to be safe in a war, you need something strong, you need something that can take a direct hit from an artillery cell. My friends, you need a bunker. In this video I tell you everything you need to know to make your own epic bunker. Now go out there and build a masterpiece.